crispy bacon method. Very simple. Make a lot of bacon, no smoke. It takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. All right, you're gonna need cold bacon, as cold as you could get it. A knife sharpener, bacon fat, which you probably won't have to start, but after this, I'll show you how to get it. Rubber gloves, tongs, and stainless steel pan. Actually, for this much bacon, you gotta match the bacon to the pan. You can't use a small pan. A little bit of salt, depending on the flavor and how your bacon was cured, and then just a plate and a piece of paper towel for when it's done. So first, sharp knife. You wanna have this as obviously sharp as possible. The bacon, you could keep it in strips. I like cutting it into smaller pieces. And again, it's for whatever you need it for. So I'm using this for Brussels sprouts. I'm gonna do about 1-inch pieces. That's why I say you want cold bacon. This is out a little bit. The colder it is, the easier it is to cut through. You could do 2-3-inch pieces, but for this, I really like 1 inch for Brussels sprouts. So this is the extra bacon fat that I have rendered. This is how I start making the bacon every single time. I take the cold bacon fat, I let it sit for now in a cold pan. I don't turn the heat on yet. I start separating my bacon one by one. Cold bacon, oops, missed. Cold pan, there's no heat yet. This is a very, very gentle, slow cooking process. You're not cooking this bacon on high heat and trying to get a sear on it, no. You're letting the fat and the water from the bacon render out, and then you're letting the water evaporate, and then all that's left is the bacon itself and the rendered out fat. What's gonna happen is on a low heat, once all the water's gone, the bacon is gonna start to fry in its own fat, and it ends up being extremely, extremely crispy. And again, not so high heat, so you're not gonna smell up the entire house, kitchen, apartment, condo, complex. So you can see this, look how much bacon. I'm gonna turn the stove on medium heat just to get the pan hot. If I find that there's not enough fat that's rendered out to completely cover what's left of the bacon, then I could always add more. So I'm gonna keep this out just in case I need it. Already all the fat's starting to render out. Some of the water's coming out of the bacon. That's the steam that's coming up here. And we're just gonna keep letting this go. Again, look, you could just see, this bacon looks like gross, disgusting, raw, flabby, dare I say. And I was like 5'6", 235, so I know what flabby looks like. And
you know Jimmy John's the new sandwich? Giant, all-American beefy crunch. It's an onion.
Like I said, the bacon, very soft. Just let it keep going. Keep moving it around. Same concept as the onions. You want to keep moving it around so they all get some heat. There's a lot of water in here, and there's a lot of rendered down fat, and it's not quite covering the bacon, but again, it's getting there, and it still looks completely crappy, which is good. Water from the bacon that's being released is helping to render out more fat. I didn't add any water here, obviously. You're almost boiling the bacon to help render out the fat, and then frying it in the fat that you render out. You could hear the difference, and you can kind of see now the bubbles. You hear that? That means it's starting to fry now. I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit. I just don't want it to cook too quickly. I'm going down to 6. Yeah, now it's starting to fry, and I'm gonna reassess in a little bit. Am I gonna need more fat to cover the bacon, in which case it's right here. If not, and I think I have enough, then we'll just let it go. It's 60-40 on the side of I think I'm gonna have to add a little bit more. So why do I say cold pan, cold bacon? Because if you start with a hot pan and you put the bacon in, it's gonna start cooking immediately, it's gonna start browning immediately, and you're not gonna give enough time for the fat to render out. In this case, we're slowly rendering the fat, we're slowly cooking the bacon, and that way it doesn't burn. We're all down to just the fats. I know this bacon already. I've cooked it multiple times. I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt just because I know it typically lacks salt. So I'll start just with a little bit, and then I'll taste it once it gets a little bit crispier because I don't feel like eating bacon that looks like this. So there's not enough fat in the pan to cover all the bacon. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more of this right back in.
A little.
And that should help cover it a little bit better. Start to help it crisp up. This is leaner bacon, so it's good that I had a lot of extra fat, but you can see now it's pretty much completely submerged and frying now. On medium heat, about 6 out of 9. It's starting to very slowly get nice and crispy and brown and golden. So I'm gonna taste one of these, one of the crispier ones. 2 steaks, everyone knows the rules. All right, so it needs a little bit more salt. And maybe I'll salt it again after. And people say, oh, bacon, so unhealthy, so much fat. I mean, look at this. This is, yeah, it's a lot of fat. But no one's drinking this shit. Like, oh my God, I can't eat that much fat. Oh my God, that would give me a heart attack. No, it won't, because you're not eating it. You're literally just cooking the bacon in its own fat. Not that I need to give health advice out here, but I'm just saying, the more you cook it in here, the more the fat's gonna render out, and the less fat you're actually going to eat. So if you cook it on a hot pan initially, you're gonna be eating way more fat than you would if you cook it very slow like this. And look how nice and golden it's getting. Very slowly. I might turn the heat up at the end just to crisp it up one more time. The bacon's completely submerged and it's really getting, I mean, look at that. That's gorgeous bacon. It's basically right to the point where it's almost done. I'm gonna turn the heat up. I'm gonna go to 8. I'm gonna give it one last minute in here, just at the higher heat, not 9, but at least 8. Get it crispy, and then I'll pull it. All right, now you're gonna pull it and you're gonna take the bacon off the heat and you're gonna have your paper towel and plate ready. And here, look at this. I mean, crispy bacon, I mean, that's like ridiculous. And you're gonna take it all off here. You could give it a little dusting of salt depending on where it is. And just let it kind of cool on the paper for a little bit. It's gonna get really, really crispy as it sits here. You're not gonna get better bacon than this. I mean, this is like, ready. 2 steaks, everyone knows the rules. Fucking amazing. Now I'm gonna show you how to get this fat and refill your cup or fill it for the first time. You could obviously take this and dump it over and pour it through the strainer. I'm not gonna do that. I don't need that much to refill it. If you're using the whole thing, then maybe it's worth doing, but for me, I don't need it. Basically, all I do is I tilt the pan, I let all the salt, crumbs, little pieces of stray bacon sink to the bottom for about a couple seconds, and then I dunk my spoon in, put it right next to the bowl, and you could see completely clear. There's nothing in it. It's just pure rendered down bacon fat because you tilted the pan and you let everything sink to the bottom. I fill my cup with this and then put it in the refrigerator. The next time I need to make bacon, I start with this again in the pan. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. So now we have the caramelized onions, we have the bacon. I think next thing I'm gonna do is maybe Brussels sprouts. Oh, what was that face? That's a good face, right? Because then you have the bacon for the Brussels sprouts, the caramelized onion technique that you could use, the sauteed shallots, and Brussels sprouts probably next.
Wrap it up.
That's pretty much it.
Outro.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
We'll let you know.
All right, that's fine.